Asma al-Assad is the wife of Syria's dictator, Bashar al-Assad, who recently fled the country with his family and sought refuge abroad. Born in Britain, Asma was once admired and called the Lady Diana of the Middle East and the Rose of the Desert. However, her connection to her husband's brutal regime and her lavish lifestyle have caused many to turn against her. Today, she lives in exile and is battling a serious illness. What does life in exile look like for her, and why was she called the First Lady of Hell? Watch the full video to find out. Don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and hit the bell icon to get notified as I upload a new video. Let's go on. December 8, 2024 was a historic day for the Syrian people. In the capital city of Damascus, large crowds gathered to celebrate the end of a regime responsible for human slaughterhouses, the deaths of more than 500,000 people in its civil war, and the displacement of millions. For over 5 decades, the Assad family ruled Syria with an iron fist, 30 years under Hafez al-Assad, and more than 24 years under his son Bashar. But now, after being overthrown by opposition forces, the Assad family has fled abroad, effectively bringing an end to 13 years of civil war. Throughout his time in power, Bashar al-Assad's wife was the only one who stood by his side, unwavering in her support against everyone else. Asma entered the presidential palace as a soft-spoken figure who promised hope. But over time, she became an accomplice in her husband's controversial rule. No one could have predicted that this well-educated, British-born woman would rise to become Syria's First Lady and the wife of one of the most controversial leaders in the region's history. Born on August 11, 1975, as Asma Fawaz Akraz, she grew up in Acton, West London, in a culturally conservative but outwardly integrated Syrian family. Her father, Dr. Fawaz Akraz, is a prominent cardiologist, while her mother, Sahar Akraz, was a diplomat at the Syrian embassy in London. Asma grew up in comfortable circumstances, excelling academically and attending top schools in London. In addition to Arabic, she mastered English, French, and Spanish. Asma graduated from King's College London in 1996 with a first-class degree in computer science, although it quickly became clear that this field was not her true passion. Her ambitions led her to the financial world, and she moved to New York, where she trained in banking and worked with top firms such as J.P. Morgan and Deutsche Bank, specializing in mergers and acquisitions. Known as Emma in her youth, a family friend described her to The Economist in 2021 as very English and disinterested in Middle Eastern affairs. In the late 1990s, Asma met Bashar al-Assad, then a young ophthalmologist studying in London, far from the political limelight. The pair had previously met during Asma's family trips to Syria when she was a child. Their relationship grew closer in London, and what began as a friendship slowly developed into a secret romance. At the time, neither of them expected Bashar to succeed his father as president. His older brother, Basil, was being groomed for the role. However, in 1994, Basil tragically died in a car accident on the road to Damascus airport, and Bashar returned home to be declared the new heir apparent. Over the following years, he was prepared to assume power, and throughout this period, his relationship with Asma continued to develop privately. In 2000, following the death of his father, Bashar became president of Syria after securing 97% of the vote in a widely criticized election. Asma, who had been planning to begin an MBA at Harvard, resigned from her position at J.P. Morgan, citing love as her reason. "Who would choose Harvard over love?" she reportedly said. In December of that year, the couple got married, surprising many Syrians and even the Assad family, as Asma was a Sunni Muslim from a westernized background, while Bashar belonged to the minority Alawite sect. To many, their marriage symbolized unity and the hope for a more progressive Syria. Bashar, seeking to improve Syria's international image after his father's brutal dictatorship, found in his young, educated, and glamorous wife the perfect counterpart. During her early years as the First Lady, Asma traveled incognito around the country, learning about Syria's culture and traditions, and speaking with the people to understand where she should focus her future policies. Also, she and her husband chose to live not in the lavish palace of his father, but in a modest apartment in Damascus, where they raised their 3 children. Asma's demeanor reminded many of Princess Diana, often seen driving herself around the city and picking her children up from Montessori school. She focused on initiatives aimed at improving education, economic opportunities, and rural development. Her work earned her recognition as one of the world's most influential Arabs by Middle East 411 magazine. Paris Match, a French magazine, once described Asma as an element of light in a country full of shadows. Similarly, Vogue famously dubbed her a rose in the desert, praising her as the freshest and most magnetic of first ladies. To many, she appeared to be a reformer, a modern, educated woman who could bring positive change to Syria. However, her image quickly deteriorated when she stood by her husband as he violently suppressed anti-government protests that began in 2011, escalating into a full-scale civil war by mid-2012. Asma openly supported Bashar's military campaigns, which led to the deaths of over 500,000 people and displaced 13 million Syrians. Leaked emails from the Assads further tarnished her reputation. While her country descended into chaos and its citizens faced starvation, Asma reportedly spent lavishly £250,000 on 130 pieces of luxury furniture, $7,000 on a pair of crystal-studded shoes, and $350,000 on redecorating family palaces. In one email to her husband, she wrote, "If we are strong together, we will overcome this together. I love you." Critics also accused her of exploiting the Syria Trust for Development, a charity she founded, to enrich herself by controlling much of the foreign aid funneled into the country. A former U.S. Secretary of State even labeled her one of the most infamous profiteers of the war in Syria. Asma played a significant role behind the scenes of the conflict. In another leaked email from 2012, she joked with a friend, referring to herself as the real dictator. The Syrian civil war transformed Asma al-Assad from a symbol of hope into a symbol of betrayal. Over time, Asma became a persona non grata in much of the world. Both the European Union and the United States imposed sanctions on her. In 2018, Asma publicly revealed she had been diagnosed with breast cancer. A year later, she announced her recovery. However, in May 2024, she was diagnosed with acute myeloid leukemia, an aggressive form of cancer affecting the bone marrow and blood. Many view her illness as poetic justice, karma for the suffering endured by millions of Syrians under her and her husband's rule. Fortunately, the Assad regime finally fell in December 2024, marking an end to decades of oppressive rule. Following Bashar's overthrow, the family reportedly fled to Moscow, where Russian President Vladimir Putin granted them asylum. Their escape was dramatic, involving secret underground tunnels and assistance from loyal allies and foreign nations. Despite their downfall, the Assads are believed to have amassed a fortune of approximately $2 billion, hidden in offshore accounts, tax havens, luxury real estate, and shell corporations worldwide. Reports indicate they own at least 20 high-end apartments in Russia, but according to The Guardian, they are unlikely to be residing in such luxury. Instead, it is believed they are hidden away in a secluded estate under tight surveillance by Russian security forces. Russia now feels like a bleak prison for the Assad family, living under the mercy of Putin, who likely has little interest in them now that they've lost their grip on Syria. I can't help but wonder, what must Asma be thinking? Once bright, beautiful, and British-born, she could have been living a prosperous life in England, surrounded by friends, family, and a flourishing career. But instead, she sold her soul to the devil. Today, Asma is unwelcome in her birth country, the UK, and risks arrest if she steps foot in Europe. Her health only adds to her plight. Battling leukemia requires advanced medical care, but her options are now severely limited. The woman once hailed as a rose in the desert is now infamous as the First Lady of Hell. She had the world at her feet, Yet her decisions led her down a path of infamy and isolation. What do you think of this story? Share your thoughts in the comments. And that's it. If you enjoyed the video and want more like it, be sure to leave a thumbs up below in appreciation. And if you haven't already, you really want to subscribe to my channel, and tick the bell icon so you get notified as I upload a new video every week. See you in the next video.